Hello and welcome to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby. Today there is a face in the studio that you will recognise, usually on site, Jim at FIX Protocol. How are you?
Very well, very well. Very good to see you again.
Likewise. So we've done this many times over the years, sometimes over Zoom, sometimes at the events themselves.
Yes.
But the FIX EMEA Trading Conference, one of my favourite conferences of the year, is coming up soon. We're going to talk a little bit about that and go through it all. So just for people who haven't seen it before, haven't heard about the conference, you know, A, where are they? But B, just give us a very brief overview of FIX as an organisation and the community in the conferences.
Yeah, sure. So for those of you who don't know us particularly well, we're an industry association. We're basically predicated on making the industry more efficient through standards. We are a membership organisation, so we have groups of people from the industry, you know, technologists, business people from all sorts of parts of the industry globally, coming together, basically working with our help to come up with basically better ways of working in the industry. Our background, of course, is the FIX Protocol, which is the thing we're probably most famous for. So we put that together 30 plus years ago, and everything we're doing.
We had
the anniversary last year, cakes and everything, and we're basically, that's an ongoing process, and we need a whole community environment, if you like, of business and technology experts to keep that thing alive and keep it relevant for the modern age. Yeah. As we'll talk about, when we talk about the conference, there's a lot of change coming. So we're actually about as busy as we've ever been in looking after that and all the other stands we do.
Absolutely, and the conference is a big part of that.
Yeah.
You do it over here, you do it in the States. There's regional meetups all over the world now, so it gets busier and busier and busier as it puts people together. But let's talk specifically. So it's coming up on the 5th of March here in London. Yeah. And there's a really interesting theme. So finance at the edge of change is what we're talking about.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the concept behind that.
Yeah, so we got this together. I mean, the way we plan these things, we bring our members together, we come up with ideas, and we tried to come up with a kind of concept to kind of bind the whole day together. Yeah. So rather than just have a whole load of sort of disparate sessions on different topics, we wanted to kind of connect them all together so that the whole thing had some kind of cohesive meaning to our delegates. And finance at the edge of change was felt to be the right thing to do because there is a lot of change going on. As an association that does what we do, we're kind of used to change, and the sort of people we attract are generally change people. Yeah. But I think we're going through a period now of, it's dangerous to say unprecedented change because we always say that, but there is an awful lot of it.
I mean, I would say it's probably fair at this sort of stage, isn't it?
It's not unreasonable, and I think it's partly because we as an industry are busy coming up with new ideas and new ways of working, but there's an awful lot of drivers from outside the industry. And I think it's those as much as anything else that we really want to call out here and try and weave some kind of narrative to our delegates as to kind of all these things into play with each other.
And talk to us about that narrative, because you were talking it beforehand and I was sort of nodding as you went through. And I speak a lot on this show about that wave of change that's happening. It just seems to be coming with more and more velocity as we speak. I don't think anyone's got certainty on what we're going, but the people who are probably getting that alpha, that edge at the moment in the marketplace. So you talked about regulation. Give me the sort of...
So there's, I think, probably two real semi or external. I mean, regulation is one of them. I call that semi-external because it's obviously part of the industry, but at the same time, it's obviously things kind of being done for the industry and to the industry, if you like, rather than by industry participants themselves. So we've got as we always do, a session where we're bringing together the kind of great regulatory minds together to tell us what's coming. And I think a lot is coming this year. This is what we do know from previous conversations. There's an awful lot coming down the pipe, both in the UK and in the EU, which is really where we're focusing most of our efforts here. So there's a lot coming down here, and it tends to be quite detailed regulation as well. So the sort of thing that really impacts a lot of people in the industry and really drives a lot of our workload. So that's one of the main external drivers. I think the other one is, I would say, technology, and that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. And I think AI, of course, has been around for a long time, but we're really beginning to see that become a much more mainstream discussion.
Right now,
Exactly. Again, regulators are looking at that. Firms are looking at that. Obviously, we're involved in that. And there are other technologies coming down the line as well, which we think, if they're not here now, they will be pretty soon.
Yeah.
So it's trying to understand all of those
that's
things.
Underestimated, that, isn't
exactly,
it? So with everyone looking at AI, there is a raft of other technology that's still making great efficiencies and productivity gains at the same time.
Exactly. I mean, I'm a big, I'm a physicist by background, so I love quantum computing concept, and we have that on the agenda as well. We have somebody here who's pretty close to that, talking about that. And it's one of these things where we don't quite know what it's going to mean for financial practitioners, but it isn't going to be nothing. I think we can pretty much guarantee that, because people thought AI was just going to be over there somewhere for a long time, and guess what? It's kind of in the middle of everybody's workload these days. So I think we have to ignore that kind of tech thing at our peril. And so those two things are great. So we sort of start the day, if you like, sort of talking about those kind of external drivers. And then, of course, we've got things that the industry is kind of innovating by itself, all the market changes and even just the day-to-day stuff. We've got a whole stream on fixed income talking about basically practitioner level issues and solutions in the world of fixed income. And that's almost a completely different level of conversation, but it's absolutely fascinating to see develop, because there's just so much that needs to be done in that space, and so much that actually is being done. So it's bringing all of that to the fore as well.
And then you finish up with people as well.
We finish up with people. So at the end of the day, somebody's got to do all this. And this is one of the things we're talking about. Not so much in terms of, how do you do all this? I mean, that's not for a conference. I think that's much more is, what are the implications for all the people who are kind of dragged into this world? We've got governance requirements and regulatory requirements and technological evolution coming in here, and you've got people trying to actually run, businesses and kind of understand all this, and it's putting a lot of pressure on a lot of people. And I think it's safe to say that this industry has been under a kind of permanent level of stress for as long as I can remember. I mean, it's part of the kind of the sense of this industry it is like that. But you see all this coming down and think, my goodness, we haven't seen this before. So how do we organise? How do we handle our people? Well, how do the people themselves actually cope with all of this? So we've got some people from outside the industry who are used to stress situations. So we've got some people inside the industry who are kind of at the coalface, with people from outside. So we have Johnny Huntington, who's basically a sort of polar explorer, the first person with a disability to get to the South Pole unaided. He's got a story to tell, and we can learn from that. We've got a lady from the Royal Navy who's obviously very, very used to stressful situations in there. She has a story to tell as well. So we can learn from these people who've been in an environment that is simultaneously very, very different to ours, but has a lot of crossover.
I think there's so much crossover, and I love this topic, and I love the fact that that's coming through, because we spend so much time in this industry, looking at this industry, that actually there's so much that we can learn from outside of it. And I've always said that we lag behind a lot of different areas. And there are some great lessons, and I've long believed, I've spoken to a lot of explorers and military and sports actually that can sort of take those lessons across. And I think it's really encouraging that sort of comes into it. And the people part of it, as is one of my favourite areas. I just think it's so important that we're thinking about all of that behind everything else that comes through from it, because if we get the right people and engage those people, and I think you've also actually been brilliant over the last few years of thinking about the next generation of it. We've had this and we've spoken on this show before about that. But the way that FIX is thinking about the next generation and really giving them the floor, that's something which you guys have been working really hard on.
Absolutely. And actually on that point, we've got two things going with our next gen. And like last year, we have a whole basically stream of activities developed by our next gen community for the next gen community. And from a speed dating session with senior leaders to their own basically sort of roundtable discussion sessions. They're doing all sorts of different things. But one thing which they're doing, which I'm really excited about, is we're closing the day with a debate. So rather than just go through the whole day with a load of content, and which is just, quite frankly, a pretty hard thing for delegates to sit through.
Done 30 years ago, right?
That's tough. That's really tough. That's a big ask. So what we're doing is we're closing the day with a debate. So we want to get the audience much more involved, and it's a debate on financial education, and basically whether financial education is actually up to the mark or is basically failing effectively society. So we've got that. And we held a miniature session on that with our next gen community a few weeks ago, and we're actually bringing some of them into this debate.
Brilliant.
Which is great. So they get the floor with 800 or so delegates.
Yeah.
We're bringing some external speakers who are really, really well versed in this, and it's going to be, I think, extremely interesting, as well as being a lot of fun for the audience. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. That to me is the highlight of the day.
I think that engagement is a really important part of it as well. And as you said, look, there can be fatigue at these events by the time you get to it, when you've got the the margaritas calling at the end of the day as well. It can lose a little bit of rhythm, but to have something like that as a crescendo, I think is really good. And on a subject that's really important to everyone as well.
Exactly.
And so that's the sort of theme of it. And I think finance at the interchange couldn't be more relevant right now. And we've got some really interesting bits to go into. Tell us what people can expect. Who can expect to see some of the speakers?
So we've got a really varied group of people speaking with us. We've got plenty from the buy side, which is great to see, because obviously they're at the coalface of a lot of these changes, and we need to hear their perspectives on all of these things as well. We've got a lot of leaders from the venues. We've got a whole bunch of people from the sell side and event vendors. It's a very broad mix. Which we're very excited about. A lot of household names, but a lot of people you might not have seen before, but who are really, really good in their field and really good at expressing what it is they do. I mean, we get a lot of our speakers through our own working groups, so these are often people we know very, very well. And we know that they have the kind of subject matter credentials to really justify their positions on these panels. And it's important to note, actually, like the way we put together the entire agenda, the speaker list is entirely put together by our members, and they're entirely selected on their basically merit, on their knowledge, on their speaking ability. So we're looking to educate the audience rather than anything else. And I think we've got exactly the right crowd.
It's a great blend. I mean, we were looking at it before we came on air, and there's some people there who I've seen and heard and absolute respect. There's some brilliant speakers on there. Many of them have been on the show actually. There's some really exciting people who I'm looking forward to hearing. We'll be there on the day, interviewing them and picking up the crumbs of what the panels are saying as well. So, and bringing that to you on FinTech Focus TV. So we're excited about that too. But it's just a really good, well thought out agenda, and I love the fact that you guys have clearly had a sort of refresh in terms of what you're looking for. I think there's a danger, isn't there, in events to say, right, let's do the same tick list of the same conversations that have been going through. But this feels different. This feels really exciting, really fresh.
I'm really excited about it, and I think we're trying to put the whole thing together as an experience for people. It's an educational experience, and obviously it's a networking experience, and it has to do with those things. But at the end of the day, I want people coming out at the end of it thinking, I've really had a day there. That wasn't just a conference, that was something else. That's what we're aiming for, and I think I have every confidence that's what people are going to get.
Fantastic. So if they want to get involved, there's still some tickets available, still some availability. I think I'm hearing this is probably going to be the biggest one you've done for a long time. Right?
That's what we're aiming for, So if anybody hasn't got a ticket already, fixtrading.org, look on there.
There we go.
It's all there.
And it's, as we said, 5th of March, it's in London, it's at the Convene again.
It's at the Convene in St Paul's, so great venue. We were there last year, it's a fantastic venue.
So everything to be looking excited for. So look, hopefully we'll see you there. We'll be on site, as we say, taking all the interviews, bringing you the latest scoops, and we're very much looking forward to doing it. So Jim, best of luck with it all.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in.
I'll see you there.
And we'll see you there, and we'll see you on the next episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.